And then ladies, here's what I would lay before you. Unless you're one that has the really strong drive, then biologically speaking, the hormones that work in you and the hormones that work in your husband are different, right? Testosterone's going to kind of put in us a desire for a lot of sex often, most men. Not all men, most men. And estrogen is not going to produce that same drive in most women. And so there will be times when you just graciously give to your husband, when you're not all kind of just filled with wine and happiness, that you have just in your heart, I'm going to serve my husband in this way. He doesn't get to demand that from you. But there are those times where you're like, hey, listen, I know this serves him and I want to serve him, and you give yourself to him in a way that serves him. He's not allowed to demand that. You don't need to feel bad if that just isn't happening in this day or this week. But I want to encourage you, if you're just stuck and jammed up because of past abuse, because of shame and guilt that you carry, because of maybe a lifestyle before you came to know Christ or before you came into this marriage, or your marriage is filled with all these regrets as you look back on what you were doing before you got married and how you came into your relationship with Christ. I want this to be a space where you can begin to work through that together, whether that be at recovery or you come up and grab the hands of one of our ministers up here. And we have ladies up here as well as men up here to come just grab the hand and go, we're stuck. We're not quite sure how to navigate this space. It's not uncommon for us to hear about money and sex, right? So if you think that you're going to be the first one to go, hey, we're struggling with sex, you're not going to be the first one. You're going to be the 400,000th one, I think, in 15 years. So you ought to just come and see what the Lord might do. But nothing gets better by hiding it in the dark. Everything gets better by coming into the light. Sex isn't a bad thing. It's a very good thing given by God, a gift of common grace for the flourishing of humankind. As Christians, we see and understand that it's not a mere physical act. It's an act of two souls becoming one that can be very beautiful or very painful. And so we want to heed God's warning. We want to save sex for marriage. We want to protect the marriage bed. We want to work at friendship. We want to work at our commitment. We want to guard our eyes and our heart and our imaginations. We want to be a one-woman man, a one-man woman. With how we think, with how we act, with what we look at, and constantly trying to cultivate friendship, cultivate respect between one another, cultivate. I said last week I want to just continue to press you towards become an expert in the beauty and goodness of your spouse. Just become an expert in that. You don't need to become an expert in some other guy or some other woman. You need to become an expert in your spouse. You should have a PhD, fellas, in your wife. You should have a PhD, ladies, in your husband. Like a dissertation. I can tell you all the good things. What about the bad? You know the bad, right? You don't have to work at spotting weaknesses. Don't we naturally see what we wish was better? What we don't naturally see is what's so good. So again, I want you to continue to cultivate this.